Okay. May, June 2018, paper 6, variant 3. Question 1. A student is investigating how a partially covered surface, okay, is affecting the temperature. Okay, هنا I have the lid, but it's not covering the full surface. صح. Record the temperature, the room temperature. What is the room temperature in this case? What is the room temperature هنا?
21.
21 degrees Celsius. The student pours 100 centimeters cubed of hot water into the beaker. She places lid A on the beaker as shown. Okay, half of the water is uncovered. She records the temperature and immediately starts a stop clock and records the time every 30 seconds. Her readings are shown in figure or in table 1.1. She repeats the procedure using lid B. Okay, this leaves only a quarter of the water surface uncovered. ماشي. Complete the headings and column T. Can I complete the headings هنا? T, theta, and theta. What will I write down in T and theta and theta? Yeah, column headings. T with theta, theta. What should I write down? يلا.
واحدة اس.
S طبعا. T is in time.
بعدين نحط ديجري سلسيوس كم
degree
بسيط.
Celsius وهنا degree Celsius. حلو. طيب التايم 0 and then what should I write down?
3.
ها؟
3.
لا مش 3 30. Okay. She records the time every 30 seconds. Yeah, 30, 60,
60 90
90, 120, 150,
150 قصدي
180. صح. Okay. Describe a precaution that should be taken to ensure that the temperature readings are as accurate as possible. Yeah. What are the precautions taken in this question? هنا the question is about the thermometers and so on. What are the precautions we use for the thermometers? Yeah. One very famous example for the precaution of the thermometer is what? Take the reading perpendicularly. Reading perpendicularly. Why? To avoid parallax error. To avoid parallax error. صح. طيب, write a conclusion to this experiment stating for which lid the rate of cooling is greater. Which lid has a greater rate of cooling and why? Which lid loses heat faster and why? Any ideas?
ليد ايه؟
lid A. طيب ليه؟
عشان يعني ما بين between any every temperature there is a bigger difference.
طيب lid A is correct. Since it loses how much? It started at what? Started at 80 and ended at 68. Lid A, since it loses A. Since 12 degrees Celsius, صح? From 80 to 68, 12 degrees Celsius between time 0 and 180 seconds. Well, that's the whole point of justifying. You need to reference to the results. You need to justify your answer. We know it's quite obvious. The answer is A. Yes, that's quite obvious. But why? Due to that A has lost 12 degrees Celsius, but B has only lost from 81 to 73. That's only about 8.5 degrees. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
8.5, well, 7 point, I guess 7.5. Okay, only 7.5 degrees, which is much less than 12 degrees. Okay, we can write down, but B loses only, loses only 7.5 degrees Celsius. That's it. Yes. Okay. Suggest a change
Okay.
to the apparatus that could produce a greater difference between the rates of cooling for A and B. What is a change that could produce a greater rate of cooling? Hmm. Greater rate of cooling. To the apparatus. يلا. To the apparatus.
يعني احنا لو غيرنا apparatus
احنا we want to
من
change the apparatus.
من beaker A.
From beaker A. Okay. What should you do?
لا مش فاهمة، يعني احنا هنغير apparatus اللي هو البيكر.
يعني انا I can change whatever، يعني whatever. شايف السيتنج هنا، this setting you can change whatever you'd like in this setting to produce a greater rate of change, rate of cooling. Greater rate of cooling.
water cold water.
Cold لا، if you use cold water that would give a less rate of cooling, a much less rate of cooling.
hot water.
Hotter water طبعا it is correct, but that's not بصي that is not a change to the apparatus itself. Okay, that's not a change to the apparatus itself. And I will tell you a very obvious one. I'll tell you a very obvious one, which is what? Use a wider, okay, use a wider beaker. Okay, if I have a very wide beaker, what will happen? Wallahi, as we increase the surface area, the evaporation will increase.
Okay.
As the surface area increases, as the surface area increases, the rate of cooling also increases due to evaporation, due to more evaporation. Okay. That a student suggests that the rate of cooling is directly proportional to the percentage of uncovered surface area. He wants to draw the graph of cooling rate against the percentage of uncovered area. To investigate this, describe how this graph line will show whether the rate of cooling and the percentage of uncovered surface area are directly proportional. And I want to see how this graph will show whether it is directly proportional or not. من الآخر, okay? In other words, what are the properties of a directly proportional graph? Okay, how can I say that this graph is directly proportional or not? Do you remember?
ممكن البويز قد بعض.
ايه؟
البويز have the same width.
لا مش bars. احنا we never draw bar graphs in physics. Okay, it's usually a line graph. But again, what are the two properties of directly proportional graphs? Two properties. We stated them before. What are the two properties of directly proportional graphs? They are that the graph must be a straight line. The graph must be a straight line and passing through the origin. 0, 0. Okay, these are the two main properties of any directly proportional graph. It has to be a straight line and it has to be passing through the origin. Okay? Okay. Students in other countries carry out the same experiment. Suggest one factor that they should keep the same if they are to obtain similar readings. What's one factor that they should keep the same? What is one factor that the students should keep the same? One constant, one controlled variable. Yeah, it's very easy. Hmm. يا شباب, one very easy variable. We haven't been studying enough.
same volume of water.
Same volume of water, صح.
مستر
Same
حضرتك سامعني؟
volume, yeah, of
حضرتك
water.
سامعني؟
كده yes.
أنا بقالي ساعة بقول كده بس تقريبا كان مقفول.
Hmm. ماشي, مش مشكلة. Same volume of water. يلا. I have a circuit power supply A and X. On figure 2.1, draw a voltmeter to measure the potential difference across resistor X. It's easy. Huh?
Mm.
Voltmeter parallel to X. You can draw it either above the resistor or below the resistor. صح?
Mm.
Yeah. Can I take the readings of the current and the voltage and write them down um in the table?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the current هنا?
ثانية.
What is the current?
أول واحدة 0.86.
Mm-hmm.
تاني واحدة 0.9.
0.9. Okay. 0.86 current and the voltage is 0.9. Can I calculate or can I write down the column headings? Column headings R, I, and V. What are the column headings?
هتبقى ohms
Ohms, I,
و A sorry
A, صح. A, amperes. V,
بعدها V.
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 Calculate the power supplied. Yeah, and he gave me the equation P equals IV. Power supplied to resistor X. Resistor Y and resistor Z. يلا. In each one, I'll just calculate the power. يلا, can I calculate the power for X, Y, and Z? يلا, X is what?
يعني نعمل لكل واحدة
أيوة.
current times voltage.
بس كده, that's it. يلا.
يعني أول واحدة 0.86 times 0.9.
Yes.
التانية تبقى 0.55 times
يلا, what's
1.7.
0.86 times 0.9?
0.86 times كام؟ 0.9
0.9.
تبقى 0.774.
77. طيب, resistor Y.
بعمل 0.55 times
مم.
1.7
مم.
تبقى 0.935. ممكن نقول 1.
0.93. لا,
ماشي.
935 يبقى
مم.
0.94.
بعدين أنا
resistor Z.
0.24
مم.
times 2.4 0.576 يعني 0.58.
0.58. Yes. Right. Describe how the values, how the value of the power changes as R increases. How does the power change as R increases? Hmm. When the resistance increases, what happens to the power?
When the resistance is the
Hmm?
power بيقل. لو لا
بيقل. When the resistance was 1, the power was 0.77. Then 3, 0.94. It increased. Then when the resistance was 10, the power decreased. صح؟ بس that's it. We will explain what happened. At first, the power increases, then decreases, then decreases. That's it. Okay, paper 6, and we have very trivial answers, very easy answers. Another student plans to investigate the relationship between P and R in
أنا
more.
ليه بالنسبة لي أصعب بيبر؟
Hmm?
ليه بالنسبة لي بيبر 6 أصعب واحد؟
عشان you didn't solve enough. Paper 6 could be hard if you do not solve enough. بس. عادي, it's okay. It's okay.
أصل هي بيبر 1
Practice. Practice, practice. مش مشكلة. Don't worry. متقلقش. Another student plans to investigate the relationship between P and R in more detail. Suggest two modifications. Two modifications to the procedure that will enable her to do this. How can I further investigate the relationship between P and R? Hmm. هنا, how many resistors did I use? How many?
3.
3. Is that enough for an experiment?
Yes.
لا, that is not enough. That's the whole point. In paper 6, it's never enough to use only 2 or 3 يعني values. In paper 6, we must use at least 5 values. Okay, two modifications. One of them is to use at least 5 different values. 5 different values for the resistors. Okay, and then when I use these different resistors, I can draw a graph. Draw a graph. Why? Because when I draw a graph, I can see if I have any anomalous results, so I can ignore these results. I can see, for example, when the power increases, when the resistance increases, does the power actually increase or does it decrease, or what happens as the resistance? It will be quite obvious when I draw the graph. Okay, when I draw the line of best fit, for example, when I draw the curve of best fit, whatever. Okay, when I draw the graph, I have to use more than 5 values. Okay, 3 is never enough in paper 6. Okay, moving on to the next question. I have an illuminated object, a lens, and a screen. Measured and record the height h0 of the triangular shaped hole. Can I measure this using a ruler? Yes, I can measure it using a ruler. Using the ruler, it should be 1.4. Okay, the marking scheme should be 1.4. If you actually measure it, if you have the paper printed out, if you have, whenever you print out the paper, what happens? The readings decrease slightly. So if you measure it, it could be 1.3, might be 1.2. It would decrease a little. But that's not wrong. It's due to the printing. It's all it all has to do with the printing of the papers, which is okay. It doesn't matter that much. And then he wants me to measure HI and record it in the table. Okay, I will measure HI. When you measure HI, it should be around 4.5 centimeters. Should be around 4.5 centimeters. But can you calculate N H0 over HI? Can you calculate HN? N H0 over HI? يلا, can
هي
someone... Yeah?
H0 كان بكام؟
H0 was 1.4.
Yes.
يلا, 1.4 over 4.5.
5.
which
تبقى
is
0.311 0.3
0.31. حلو. 0.31. Of course, if I have a table, then probably I will need to draw a graph. يلا 4 marks. 4 mark. First mark is a plot a graph of u slash centimeters on the y-axis. يلا هنا I write u slash centimeters. N on the x-axis. N on the x-axis. N does not have a unit. N does not have a unit. N is a ratio. N is a ratio. H naught was in centimeters and HI was in centimeters, so they both cancel out. So N has no unit. Okay. يلا. U and N. يلا. U 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You do not have to start from the origin. You do not have to start from the origin. So, and I prefer not to start from the origin. 20, 40, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I can't start from 20. It's okay. Yeah, let's see. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Oh, it's up to 60. Now I can start from 10. I can hina start from 10, which might be slightly better. Just slightly better. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Okay, حلو. N, it starts from 0.31 and ends at 2.8. 0.31 and ends at 2.8. طيب. How do you suggest we start the x-axis? How do you suggest we start this x-axis?
الإكس أكسس عايز هو الإكس أكسس إيه اللي عليه؟ لأن
الN. From 0.31 to 2.8.
0.15.
0.15 is very hard.
2
Extremely hard.
0.2
طيب if we start from 0.2 يلا تعالوا نجرب 0.2
صح لا nothing مش عارفة
0.4 0.6 do you think إن ده هيكفي 0.8 1.0 لا it's quite obvious it's not enough صح طيب what should we do
0.3 إيه ده لا
طيب
0.5.
0.5 0 0.5 1 1.5 2 2.5 3 صح تعالى let's see 0.0 0.5 1.0 1.5 2.0 2.5 and 3.0 this is excellent okay this is the best way to scale this graph and this question okay يلا let's plot the points 20 0.31 يلا 0.31 with 20 31 طبعا هنا would be this is 30 هنا with the 20 okay 0.93 and 30 93 and 30 1.6 40 1.6 is after 1.5 okay 2 squares after 1.5 with the 40 2.3 and 50 2.3 2.3 and 50 2.8 and 60 2.8 and 60 okay حلو these are the points okay it's quite obvious that it will be a best fit line it will be a straight line it will be definitely a straight line, صح? And then I need to calculate the G, the gradient. طيب, let's draw the straight line. Should be something كده. Just about that.
لازم بتعدي على كل البوينتس.
لا, it won't pass through through every point خالص. One point would be below, one point would be above.
بس أهم حاجة يكون أول وآخر بوينت.
لا خالص, لا مش لازم.
مستر عن سؤال.
مم.
الاكس اكسس ازاي اول واحده تبقى 0.5 وبعديها اللي بعديها تبقى 7.0.
Not
دي
7,
1
1. Sorry,
تكبر.
this is not 7, this is 1.0.
اوكي.
ماشي. This is the graph, this is the line. How can I find the slope? How can I find the gradient?
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Yes,
اول بوينت واخر بوينت.
but I have to show on the graph. I will do y2 minus y1, but I have to show on the graph the triangle method. اهو triangle method يعني I will use كده. You have to draw on the graph a triangle joining two very far points. Triangle joining two very distant points. And then you can use the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. For example, 60 minus 20 over 2.8 minus 0.31. Yeah. Can I calculate it? Yes, I can calculate it. 60 minus 20 over 2.8 minus 0.31. Yeah. It would be around 60, I guess. The gradient should be around 60. What's the gradient? Did someone calculate G? لا. كده I calculated wrong. It's not 60. 40 over 1.5. What's 40 over 1.5? Yeah.
2.5.
Hmm? شباب
2.5.
لا
مش
not
1.
2 point لا 2.5 is wrong.
هي
40 divided
0.31 over 1.
1.5
40 over yes okay 40 over 2. انت قصدك 2.5 هنا. 40 over 2.5 is what?
هتبقى 16.
16.
مم.
ماشي. It's around 60. Describe one difficulty that may be experienced when measuring the height of the image. H1. One difficulty while measuring the height of the image. What are the difficulties that we face while measuring? يلا. Do
ممكن
you know?
يكون inaccurate.
مش inaccurate. Okay.
هاي.
For example,
Sure.
one very famous difficulty is that the image does not appear clearly. Okay. The image is not clear. The image is not clear. طب how do we improve this? Okay. How do we improve this difficulty that we move the object slowly until a sharp image appears? Okay. You can move the object, you can move the screen, yeah, you can move the lens a little. Last question. Investigation. Student is investigating the force needed to just slide a block across a surface. Plan an experiment that will enable. Okay, this is the most important sentence in this question. Plan an experiment, that will enable him to investigate how the force needed varies with the mass of the block. How the force needed varies with the mass of the block. What is the variable that I will be changing? What is the variable that I will be changing? Any ideas?
Um,
ها
what we will change
يلا.
اللي هو
الماس.
ايوه انت قلت ايه؟
الماس.
الماس. Yes. The mass of the block. يبقى basically the variable that I will be changing, the range of values. Okay, range of values that I will be changing the mass, okay, of the block. Okay, this is the independent variable. صح? This is the independent variable, the mass of the block. What are the different masses that I can use for this experiment? For example, 50 grams, 100 grams, 150 grams, 200 grams, 250 grams. These are the different values for the mass of this block. Yes. Okay, this is the apparatus. Okay, I have this block, and I have a pulley which can be clamped to a bench. Okay, it doesn't matter. In your plan, you should include what apparatuses. Okay, draw a clearly labeled diagram. Okay, we need a labeled diagram. We need to briefly say what will we do, what is the method, what are the steps, any precautions. Okay, suggest a graph which could be drawn. Okay. هنا he needs some يعني quite different points from most of the other points required in the other tests. But okay, let's draw the diagram first. Let's draw the diagram and let's state the apparatuses that we will be using. Okay, how do you think we should draw this diagram? But the diagram will be very easy. Why will the diagram be very easy? This is the block we have. Okay, this is the wooden block attached to the hook. But the hook is attached to what يا شباب? It's attached to a force meter. The hook is attached to a force meter. Okay, which is pulled to the right. Okay, so this force meter is attached to the hook, and the hook is attached to the wooden block. Okay, and I start pulling to the right. Whenever you start pulling to the right, it will give a force, or the force meter will give an indication of the force being exerted on the wooden block, which is the whole point of experiment. This is the whole point of the experiment. Okay.
أيوة.
Wow. And the force. Okay, this is the force pulling to the right. Okay, حلو. يبقى what are the apparatuses used? الapparatuses, the force meter, different masses. Okay. And that's it. These are the apparatuses I will be requiring in this equation. شباب هنا he didn't state هنا he did not state that we are required to write down any controlled variables. He did not state that we are required to write down any controlled variables. So I will not write down any controlled variables. Okay? I'll just write down the apparatuses. The apparatuses in this question are the force meter and force meter and different masses. Okay, حلو. يبقى كده I did the first 2 points, the list of apparatuses and the different masses. I need to write down the steps. What are the steps? What are the brief instructions for carrying out this experiment?
we're gonna get اللي هو each block لو مثلا أول واحدة 50 ونجرب كده.
Okay, so for each mass, okay, we will measure the force required to just pull, okay, to just pull the block to the right.
Mm.
For each mass, record the time, record the force required to just pull the mass, oh, the block. Let's write the block. The block to the right.
But ده بقى repeat with all masses.
Yes. You have to say it. You have to say this. Repeat for the different masses.
Compare.
لا, compare بقى. I'll write compare in the conclusion.
Okay.
I'll write the compare in the conclusion. Yeah. This, okay, these are some brief instructions. Describe any precautions. What are some precautions that I can use?
مفيش.
طيب, one very يعني obvious precaution is that we have to use the same surface. Okay, the same surface between the block. Okay, and for example, if I'm doing this experiment, I have to make sure it's the same table. I'll use the same table. I will use the same floor, for example, if you're conducting the experiment on the floor. Okay, it has to be the same surface. Why? Because one surface could differ from another surface. This could exert more friction, which would require more force. So I need to use the same surface. Okay, slide the block on the same surface. Okay, use the same angle, for example. Use the same angle to pull the block. Okay, حلو. Describe any precautions. Suggest a graph. Yeah, I want to draw a graph. I'll suggest a graph. How do you think we should draw this graph? First of all, what should I write down on the x-axis and what should I write down on the y-axis? What do you think I should write down on the x-axis and what should I write down on the y-axis? يلا.
على الواي اكسس اكتب الماسز.
لا.
لا العكس ايوه.
On the x-axis, I'll write down the mass. What's the unit of the mass?
جرام.
Grams. And on the y-axis,
حط الفورس. هو اليونت
الفورس
بتاعه نيوتنز.
in newtons. بس that's it. That's it. طب should I draw the graph? Should I draw the graph? لا, I shouldn't draw the graph. Okay. But this graph would be directly proportional. It would be directly proportional. But you're not required to draw this graph. That's it. We're done with the question. Okay?
Mm.
Okay.